This is going to be a little walkthrough about how I want you to approach each one of these validity scenarios and identify the different types of validity that are going on inside. So what's going to happen is you're going to be presented with a little scenario of something that might happen in a school. And you're supposed to scan through it and pick out where are content validity issues, where are construct validity issues, concurrent and predictive validity issues. And so you'd get a scenario like this. Sandy Beach has just finished her first year as a science teacher and did very well. The school she works at has a very hands-on, authentic curriculum that encourages exploration and application. Her dedication to crafting lessons, instructional materials, and assessments that reflect the school's values and district standards and is aligned with the district test pays off. So right here, as I'm reading, I notice, something about alignment. As you remember, content validity is all about alignment. And so this would be a content validity element. This is a good thing. So she is taking the time to make sure everything's in alignment. And her assessment evidence suggests that her students have learned a lot and exceeded most district and state objectives. So that's good too. But the results on the state test are not what they should be, as the students are not used to taking multiple choice tests for hours a day and performed rather poorly. Okay, so a couple things, right? One, we have the relationship between these two things as a predictive validity issue. She does everything well. The students are doing well. They do well in class. They do well on the district test, but then it doesn't get reflected in the state test. So the issue here, right, is predictive validity is whether or not one thing can be used to predict another, whether one thing is predictive of how somebody's going to do at a later time. Typically, again, those assessments are slightly different. However, we get another little insight in here. The students are not used to taking multiple choice tests for hours a day and performed rather poorly. So right here we have what is potentially a construct validity issue, meaning that when you take a multiple choice test, believe it or not, there are a certain set of skills that you have to have. One is being able to still stay focused and be familiar with those types of questions for long periods of time. And if you don't do that, typically you will have a harder time. And so you're measuring both knowledge and test-taking ability in the same assessment. And that's where the construct validity issue comes in. As I keep going, the next year, under pressure from the community to raise test scores, the school adopts a whole new curriculum and is very rigid. And students are doing nothing but multiple choice tests because their performance on the state test was not that great last year. Here you could say something about them trying to address that construct validity issue. Sandy grudgingly accepts these new materials and assessments, but cannot help but slip back into what she believes to be a much superior curriculum, and her assessment results do not often agree with what she sees them doing during hands-on activities. So here again we have some more issues going on. Oh, it's too bright. We'll go back with yellow. Sandy is violating or ending up with low content validity because she keeps going back to what she thinks is a better curriculum and is out of alignment with what she is supposed to be doing. She also finds that her assessment results do not often agree with what she sees them doing during hands-on activities. So again, you could talk about this as a predictive validity issue again, in the sense that, right, she is using one to predict the other. Or you could say that this is a concurrent validity issue because she is really trying to assess those things in the same unit of time. The key thing, or one of the key confusions that usually happens, is that concurrent validity and predictive validity get fuzzy with each other because that time interval is not always clear. I mean, you cannot give two assessments simultaneously, right? So if I'm going to use multiple pieces of assessment, they will have to be administered at different times. But the question is, how long does that time interval need to be for it to move from concurrent validity, measuring one thing at one time, to predictive validity, measuring one thing at two different times. Is it an hour? Is it a day? Is it a week? That's fuzzy. So I am very flexible in how you describe things. Some are clear. If it's a couple months, it's not concurrent validity. If it's in the same day or even the same week, you could say it's much more like concurrent validity. So in this case, the better answer here is that the difference she sees between the multiple choice classroom assessments and the hands-on activities is a concurrent validity issue. There's disagreement there. Two different sources disagree. She then decides to enter them into a statewide science competition that focuses on the application of scientific principles, and her student teams come in first, third, and fourth. Hooray, great. And then we have another predictive validity thing where she predicted that because they did well on hands-on activities and applying the knowledge, they would do well in a statewide competition, right? And so we can think of that as another predictive validity element. She uses this to convince the schools to go back to the old curriculum, and all is right in the world. So that is how I want you to think about this. There's another scenario here that I'd like you to try on your own. I will post the answer so you can check your understanding. There is also one more example that I will post as well that has the answers in it. This is what you will be doing on the test, is a variation of it, but you should be able to look at a scenario and pull out the important data. We'll cover one more of these when we meet next time, and we will also cover some additional scenarios that allow you to apply different types of validity to different situations to help you see where it might come up in life, where it might come up in the classroom.